Alright guys, we're back again. We're going to set up on this housing to cut in this little slot for the motor anchor point. We're also going to do the drilling tapping for the oil filler. We're also going to be drilling and tapping a couple of M5s in here for that motor anchor to bolt off. And we're going to set up in V blocks a little bit later on to do the drilling for the oil fill level. That'll just set the oil level for us for those bearings. It's always good to have some sort of indication, particularly on a little tiny unit like this, as to how much oil you need to put in. So once it starts dribbling down the hole, you know that you've got it at the right level. So the setup is fairly straightforward. I've actually just bolted the housing, that's worm wheel housing, onto the main gearbox housing. I've already done the edge find on this. That's on center. We're using a 10mm cutter, so we're going to slot through 10mm and then side cut 1mm either way to bring that out to 12mm. And on the far side, I've just got finger clamp and a bit of packing in there, and we're up against one of the tenons. When we've done this operation, we'll rotate it 90 degrees, and as I said, we'll drill the oil fill, and we'll take it off the housing, set up in V blocks, and we'll do a setup for that 20-degree rotation to get that oil level hole done. You see that oil level hole just sitting inside there. Alright guys, so we'll get this set up in the tripod and we'll get underway. Alright, we'll touch off and we'll drop down 7mm. I'm only cutting this one way at the moment so that I'm pushing up against the tenon on that feed. Right, we'll do a side cut, 0.9mm. And we're also going to come down to depth. About that 7mm. I'll just measure that width, see if we need to side cut anymore. And as I expected, we've just broken through into that tapped hole, which isn't an issue. Right, I'll just see that sitting. Should be about 0.2mm off 12mm. No, 0.14 off. We'll side cut it further, 0.075. and that'll put us on the money. Right. Yeah, I hope that's on the money. We shall see. Because I'd like to use a bit of 12mm key steel for this if I can. Just measuring 0.02 over. Just double check it one more time. .01, that's fine. We can hand fit a bit of key steel to that to act as our anchor. We'll clean the burrs off that. We'll rotate the whole assembly around 90 degrees. We'll do the drilling and tapping in for that 1/8 BSP filler hole. So we'll get that set up and we'll come back. So just as well, you blokes here to remind me, I forgot to drill and tap for the anchor supports fastest. Alright. So I've zeroed up. I've left that on 0 before we break the setup down. Zeroed up, come 18mm either side, and then we'll drill and we'll tap. So I just got the centre drill in there at the moment, so we'll do that operation first. Try and keep my hand away from the camera. Two. I'm just going to get a tapping drill for the M4s, which what these have to be. Right, I should have said M5 on that. So I've got a 4.3mm drill in here, and I've just got to be very careful that I don't break through into that bore. So my maximum depth on this is going to be 8mm. So I've already zeroed that out on the head digit. So we'll come on down and drill that out. And it's going to be right on the edge of that slot. Behind the camera. We're done. I'm going to grab an M8 spiral tap and we'll set up and tap that in. Right, so we've got this on position, so we're on centre and we're 32mm up from the end, 10mm off that face there, or 8mm off that face there. We'll spot this and then we'll drill on top. I'm drilling this out with an 8.3mm drill. It should be an 8.4, but it's the closest I've got. And that hole has just come that side of the bearing register. So we've got a bit, we're feeling that probably about 1mm of clearance there, so that's great. Exactly what we wanted. I'll set up and tap that out. Just try and work around the camera a bit here. Right. Now I'm going to put a plug type with the socket for the Allen keys into this one, because I need to keep it below the level of those socket cap screws. So if I ever need to remove the housing, I don't have to keep undoing the plug. So, just see how that looks. I'll get it started. Right, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. I'll pull up there nice. I can always tap that out a little bit more if I have to. But for this exercise, that will be fine. Righto, I'll debird that, and then we'll take this out of the housing. We're going to set that up for that 20-degree rotation to get the filler level hole put into place. So we'll get that on the go now. Alright, I've laid this out on the surface table. So I'm 20 degrees off my horizontal with this line here. I've got it sitting in a V-block up against the tenon, the parallel in between. I did make a little blue on that other hole in that I drilled right through with this 8mm drill. My drawing actually states to drill through with a 6 and then open up with an 8 to depth only. So we'll do that on this particular hole because this is the drain hole and this is where I've done my levels based on that 6mm drill. So we shall do it that way. Not going to be an issue, it's still cleared the register face for the bearing cup, but yeah, you must see how we come up here and how close it is to my line work that I've laid out. And that is spot on. I'm happy with that. Right. I'll put the 6 in. We'll go right through with the 6 and then we'll open up with the tapping size for the BSP. We're going to go 7.5mm deep on that. A little bit more clearance to that register face. Alright, go with our tapping drill. And set up our digi. Alright, we'll come down at 7.5. We can go a bit deeper on that actually. That's good, we've come down 10mm there. Alright, let's set up our tapping. A little bit more we can go on that. Back again, I messed with the BSP nipple. Started over here, won't I? There we go. Yep, that'll be fine. As I said, I've got a little bit more, I can tap that in depth if I have to, but for my money that'll do nicely. Alright, so that's all of our machining activities completed on this little worm wheel housing. Alright, I'll get set up to start machining the shaft that's going to hold that worm wheel in place in the housing, so I'll make a start on that now. Alright guys, we're going to kick off with the our next component, which is the shaft here that's going to carry the worm wheel. So that's our worm wheel there. And once again, it's a fairly straightforward turning operation. We've got a head bearing, a tail bearing. We've got a lock nut with a lock washer, so we've got to cut a little thread on it, and we've got a little keyway to cut for that lock washer, and then we've got an M12 thread that we've got to tap up inside here as well. So that's it on the GA, and that's what he's going to look like. Hopefully we can see that alright. So as I said, fairly straightforward turning operation. Turning, bit of tolerancing we need to work to, that's for the seal face. A little bit different in here in that the back end I want to have a hex in there so that when we're doing up the crank arm, or initially when we're doing the socketed cap screw that's going to hold that worm wheel in place, it's always good to have something that you can grip onto, whether it's a flat with for a spanner, or in this case here I've got a socket for an Allen key to fit into. So when we're changing the crank arm over on the disc to various stroke lengths, when we're doing it up, we want to be able to hold it somehow so that the shaft just doesn't spin. And I'll go back to the GA here. Hopefully we can see it a little bit better. So there's our crank disc. There's our crank arm, which has got the pin through it. And that's the one that we can adjust and put into various positions depending on the stroke that we want to run on this slotter. So when we're doing that up, we can put an Allen key in the back end here and hold that shaft from turning while we're tightening up that pivot bolt. So that's what we'll kick off on. So it's going to look like in ISO. As I said, we've got a little, we've got an M12 socketed cap screw. We're going to hack down and get the hex out of that, and that hex is going to be Loctited into place. And I've used this a number of times in a number of different types of assemblies, and it works extremely well. It's probably a cheat's way if you haven't got a rotary slotter to be able to cut a hex in, or some sort of gear that you can hot cut it in. Doing it this way, Loctiting in a head's the next best way of doing it. So that's our bit of rusted up steel we're going to use. So we're going to cut that off at about 115 long. Give us a couple of mil to be able to clean up on the ends. That's measuring at 38, and we've got to come down to a nominal size of diameter 30. So we'll get that out to the bandsaw and we'll start cutting that up.